In this video, we are going to model a bolt and nut, and we will model the threads on both of these and create joints and a motion link so that these objects will work together. I'm going to start by saving this as threads, and you will save this in the location of the folder that you have shared with me. I'm going to then create a new component. The first component that I will create, I will call bolt. I'll click OK. And I want to make sure that this is the active component. I also want to go to document settings and make sure that my units are in inches. So if this is not inches, go ahead and change those active units. I'm going to create a sketch. We can choose any plane here. And on the sketch, I'm going to draw a circle. Can be centered anywhere. The diameter of that circle should be 1/2 inch, 0.5. And then I'm going to draw a polygon, and we'll use a circumscribed polygon centered at the same location of the center of the circle. And then pulling out, let's make this is a radius, so let's do 0.4 inches. And there should be 6 sides. I'm going to extrude, so I'll type E to extrude. I'm going to extrude the circle, and I'll take that down. Let's do that 1.5 inches, negative 1.5. I need to turn my sketch back on, and I'll extrude once again, and I'll select the circle and this hexagon, and I'll go up. Let's do 0.25 inches. So this is going to be my bolt here. Let's go ahead and make the nut. So I'm going to create a new component. For the parent, I will select this overall design threads, and I'll click OK. I'm going to go to create sketch. Let's sketch on the same plane we had been sketching before. And I'm going to create project include. I'm going to go ahead and project the other sketch onto this sketch that I'm sketching on now. I could just redraw what I just drew, but this is a little bit quicker of a way to do it. So I'm going to select bodies, and the body that I want to project is this one right here. And if I click OK, I see that if I turn this off, well, I just end up with the hexagon. So let's go back, turn this on, create, project include, and I'm going to project that circle there as well. So now I can go ahead and extrude. In the shape I'm going to extrude, let's turn off this body for a second. It's going to be this body here. And I'm going to extrude a negative 0.25 inches. So now I have the bolt and the nut, 2 separate components. Let's go back to our bolt. We're going to activate that component. And I'm going to go to modify, create, and thread. I'm going to select the cylinder of the bolt as the face. I'm going to check where it says modeled. The size is automatic, so because the outer diameter of that cylinder was 1/2 inch, this size defaults to 1/2 inch here. And this designation 1/2 means that my outer diameter is 1/2 inch, and that 12 means I have 12 threads per inch. I can change this up. I could have 20 threads per inch, 16 threads per inch. Let's stick with that 12 threads per inch though. You can rewatch that video that I posted from the Machine Tech video blog to see more about what these numbers mean, including the class here. So I'll click OK. So modeled 1/2, 12 threads per inch. I'll click OK. I'm going to then activate this component. Let's rename this component by double clicking. and we'll rename this one nut. I'm going to turn off the bolt. I'm going to activate my second component and go to create thread. I'm going to select that cylinder. We have 1/2 inch here, 1/2, 12 threads per inch. 3B, where B means those are the inner threads, and I'm going to check modeled there. So I'll click OK, and then I'm going to turn on both my components. Let's activate the overall design, and I see that I have my 2 components there. I can click and drag components as I wish. I'm going to make sure that my sketches are turned on as well. So I want to assemble these 2 components, and I will assemble them using assemble joint. I'll click capture position here, and I want to use a simple method of creating joints. And for the first one, I'm going to select the sketched circle. So make sure you are selecting the sketched circle here and not the threads. So things get a little wonky when we try to joint threads to each other because the centers are not centered, or the circles are not centered on the same point. So go ahead and select this outer circle here on our sketch. For our second thing, we're going to select this sketch circle here. And instead of a rigid joint, I'm going to go here to motion, and I'm going to change that to a cylindrical joint. And I click OK. So now I can go ahead and turn my sketches off. I don't need those anymore. And I see that I can, if I go ahead and right click on the bolt and ground the bolt, then I see that I can spin and move the nut up and down along the bolt. So I'm going to click Control Z to take that back to where it was. So we need a motion link to connect the rotational motion to the up and down motion on these threads. So first I'm going to use this inspect section analysis. I'm going to select any side of my hex right there, hexagon. I'm going to cut in so I can see those threads and how they interact with each other. I'll go ahead and click OK. And I'm going to go to Assemble Motion Link here. And the joints I want to select are my cylindrical joint here. And the things I want to link with the tame joint. So I'm going to link the slide with the rotation. So we had 12 threads per inch. So for every 360 degrees of rotation, I should have 1/12 of an inch. So you see when I change that to 1/12, my threads are now staying threaded. So they're not getting messed up, nothing's going through the threads. And I'll go ahead and click OK. So now if I turn this, I see that my object is staying on those threads. So I have created this using a motion link between the slide and the rotation motion. But I still have a problem because I can pull the nut right through my bolt there. So let's go ahead and take care of that. To do that, I'm going to go to my joints here in my browser. I'm going to highlight this cylindrical joint here. I will right click and click it and click Edit Joint Limits. And I don't want to limit the rotation. Instead, I want to limit the slide. And I'm going to set the, let's try minimum first at 0. I like to animate this to check. So that looks like the opposite of what we want to do. Let's try flipping. So that means it'll go all the way up to where we had set that joint at 0, and then it can go beyond there. So we've limited the joint so it can't move past where 0 is. We've set the maximum that joint can go to at 0 inches. So let's click OK. And now we have created a bolt with a working nut. We can go to analysis and turn off our section view, and then you can click and drag the nut and see that it works. So because Fusion can be a little glitchy, you'll see that sometimes our joints will kind of jump around. That's nothing to worry about right there. Okay, that's all for this video. In the next video, you will learn how to create working gears that work with each other. And in that, you will also be using joints and motion links.